I'm in 6th grade math class. My best friend and I have somehow been allowed to move to the back of the class and sit next to each other. So naturally, we're talking and paying no attention to the lesson. Well, my teacher notices and says, "Ben, tell me one thing we've talked about so far." My face goes blank, knowing she's got me right where she wants me. However, my wit answers, math. Well, I was really nowhere close to being able to correctly respond to the question. The teacher had called me out, and I was not prepared. Needless to say, my friend and I were separated. I don't know what she was thinking in the first place, to be honest. Jonah is a person in the Bible that everyone knows is called out. His response, however, is a perfect example of what not to do. Jonah chapter 1, verse 1 through 3 says, "The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me." But Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. Jonah didn't just make up a lame answer, but instead he tried to avoid the calling altogether by just running away. Well, we later find out that he was swallowed by a big fish and lived in its belly for 3 days and 3 nights. I'm glad I didn't just take off running out of that classroom, because it just so happened I went fishing the next weekend, and who knows what might have happened. While Jonah's response was by no means the best, the Bible gives us many examples of how to respond when God calls us. For example, we read of Noah and the task God put upon him. Genesis chapter 6, verse 13 says, "So God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them." It goes on to say in verse 15 that the ark that he will build will be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Then later in verse 19, God tells Noah to bring 2 of all living creatures, 1 male and 1 female. So basically, God tells Noah, "I'm going to kill everyone unless you can build me an ark that's longer than a football field for you, your family, and all living things." There are probably about 100 different excuses you could use to prevent having to do a task like this. I don't have enough time. I've never built a boat before. I'm tired, and I just don't want to, and many, many more. However, the Bible says simply in Genesis chapter 6, verse 22, Noah did everything just as God commanded him. To do something like that, with no hesitation and no questioning, would take an unbelievable amount of faith. But what I think makes Noah different from Jonah is how prepared he was. If God was going to call on Jonah to go convert a whole city of Nineveh, he had to have had great faith, or else God wouldn't have called him. God never gives us something that we can't handle. The thing is, I think Jonah had a dormant faith. It was there, it just wasn't strong enough to be acted upon, and that's why he fled. Noah, on the other hand, was ready. He was prepared. When his math teacher asked him what he had been talking about, he probably answered, "Polynomial functions, of course," which is what I should have responded. Both of these men were given tests, or more like pop quizzes, and they were both very smart. But however, Noah was the only one that was ready for something that was unexpected. So how do you study for a pop quiz? Isn't the point of a pop quiz to catch you off guard? Well, we as Christians, unfortunately, will have many tests, and callings both minor and major, that we hope to pass. Whenever you walk into a classroom and the teacher says there's a pop quiz, everyone freaks out at how unprepared they are for it. And then the teacher will say, "Well, it's also open no," and everyone will calm right back down. Open no quizzes are the best because you have all the answers right there with you. Well, I can tell you for sure that every test that we encounter in our lives will be open no. We have the Bible, and all of the answers are in here, and we just have to find them. And not only are they open no, but through prayer, we can even ask the teacher himself questions and get answers through the test. The thing is, we have to have a faith that's strong enough to answer when God calls us out, but we'll always have that open note to fall back on and the avenue of prayer to ask questions. So when God calls us out, will we answer something lame like math? Or even worse, will we just run away? Or will we be ready to get to work, no matter how big the task? Because with God on our side, it's an easy A.